My sister Amanda never met her bio mom. My dad raised her alone until she was barely 1. My dad and my mom got married in 1992. Amanda knew that my mom wasn't her bio mother. She started pressuring my dad for information on her mom when she was around 17. My dad always gave her vague answers and refused to talk about her bio mom, which put a strain on their relationship. Enters our uncle and revealed the family secret. Apparently, Amy's mom wanted an abortion. She was 19. But my dad and his parents were able to bribe her. They offered her money if she followed up with the pregnancy. And she accepted. My grandparents sold one of their houses and gave her half of that money to Amy's mom when the pregnancy was viable. And the other half she received when she waived her parental rights over Amy to let my mom adopt her when she was 4. My uncle wasn't supposed to tell her that. My grandparents were furious. Amy stopped her crusade to meet her bio mom, and her relationship with my dad went back to normal. Amy never mentioned her bio mom again. Dad got her into therapy after that. A month ago, Amy found out that she was pregnant. The pregnancy was an accident. She switched birth controls. The problem being, Amy is about to start her surgical residency and her hours are insane. It is basically impossible to raise a baby while working in that rhythm, so she wanted an abortion. The problem is that Mark, her fiancé, 6 years together, wanted her to keep the baby. It caused a big fight. In a move to convince Amy to keep the baby, Mark told Dad about this. Until that point, no one in our family knew about this. Dad talked with her, and they got into an enormous fight. Amy got the abortion 10 days ago. Mark ended up breaking up with her. She is obviously really sad. My dad was acting like a jerk. He was pretending that Amy didn't exist. He didn't want to talk or see her. So on Christmas Day, we were exchanging gifts. When everyone had already finished giving each other gifts, Dad got up and gave Amy her present. He gave her an envelope in front of everyone and told her to open it. It was 3 pictures with something written on the back, a name, an address, and a phone number. Dad told her that he was tired of babying her, that this is a photo of her bio mom and her 2 sons. That was her bio mom address, and that he contacted her bio mom and she is willing to speak with Amy. He gave her Amy's number. Dad thinks that they will have a great relationship since they are so similar. Amy broke down crying. I ended up in a fight with Dad, called him a monster for doing that to her. He just said he was just tired and left. We ended up leaving and she spent the rest of Christmas crying on my shoulder. She is a mess since that. My younger brothers called me a Grinch for making a scene and ruining Christmas. My mom was silent during the whole thing. My parents have been giving me the cold shoulder since Christmas. I've been out of the closet since I was 17, in 2007. When I came out, people in my family said some pretty hurtful things, which I totally expected. Being from a Southern Baptist family in God, it hurts to admit this, but my older brother at the time seemed very receptive, surprisingly. He told me that if my dad ever gave me any trouble, to call him and he'd talk to him. That was really the last time we talked about it. Flash forward 13 years, I'm 30, and I'm getting married to my fiancé Scott next year in April. If COVID so graciously allows. I started putting a package together of fun things from my brother and I's childhood, all with the intention of asking him to be my best man. However, he called me 2 weeks ago, claiming he's wanted to talk to me about this for a long time. He went into the long tangent about how being gay is wrong and isn't what God wants. He said he thinks Scott is a nice guy and he loves me, but he doesn't think it's right that we're getting married. It was quite a shock, as Scott and I have stayed with him multiple times when we visit my hometown. To top it off, and what hurts perhaps the most, he said my 3-year-old niece, whom we adore, won't be coming to the wedding because he didn't want to have to explain to her what was going on here. Notice he only said that she wasn't coming to the wedding. I think he fully expected to still be invited after this. His wife, whom he started dating when I was 12, feels the same apparently. My whole dad's side of the family feels the same way they do, but I've already written them off mostly in my mind. My mother is beyond pissed and upset at them. I think what upsets me the most is a sense of betrayal. They were my safe spot in the family. I felt like because they're close to my age and younger and went to college, they would understand and it wouldn't be a big deal to them. I almost feel a bit embarrassed because Scott comes from a wonderful Italian Catholic family and they've never been anything less than loving and supportive. I told them that, on what is supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, if they or anyone else is sitting in the audience and in the back of their mind thinking that what we're doing is wrong or not right, they should just stay home. I know my brother and family love me, but it feels up to a point, conditional, and limited. I told them that they learned being gay is wrong, they weren't born not liking gay people. So they can unlearn it, if they were willing. But I don't think that's going to happen. I met my husband 6 years ago when we both had just graduated college. He was a lovely guy, handsome and very well put together. He loved muscle cars and weightlifting, and I loved everything about him. I fell in love with him instantly and was over the moon when he asked me to marry him. A year into our marriage, I became pregnant with our son and gained about 30 pounds. I was 5 feet 3 inches, 125 pounds before the baby and 155 pounds after the baby. I still fit into the same clothing sizes, so I didn't think I had gained too much weight and that it would come off with breastfeeding and some more exercise. After the baby, my husband started pressuring me to lose the weight. He said that his friends were making comments about how fat I had gotten and that he was not as attracted to me as he was before I had the baby. He gave me an ultimatum that I either would have to lose the 30 pounds in 6 months or he would leave me. I was very upset about the demand, but I didn't want to lose him, so I tried my hardest to lose the weight. Every day for months I would wake up and go to hot yoga for 90 minutes. After I got home from work, I would run or do some bodyweight exercises. I tried to keep my calorie count below 1200 so that I would lose 2 or more lbs per week. The weight slowly but surely started to come off and I was back down to 130 pounds by the end of the 6 months. My husband was happy and things looked like they would be okay. After I lost the weight, I noticed a shift in the attitude of my husband's friends. Most of them are perfectly nice guys, but a few of them are absolute pieces of shit, the same ones who called me fat. Once I returned to my old weight, these friends started to make comments about me and how sexy I was. I told my husband to make them stop and he said that he would speak with them, but the rude comments never stopped. I channeled all of my frustrations into working out and I lost an additional 15 pounds of body fat and got more toned. This past weekend, my husband's friends were over at the house and one of them grabbed me and tried to grope me. I told my husband, and even though he was angry at his friend, he was still angry at me. My husband said that I was leading his friends on by losing so much weight, and that I was trying to make myself skinny so that I could cheat on him. I was disgusted by this accusation and packed my bags and left for my mom's house. Last night, my husband called me and begged for me to come back home. He says that he knows that he was unfair and that he won't let his friend come over anymore. But I am so tired of dealing with this that I'm not sure I want him back. He's the one that told me to lose weight. But now he's blaming me for being too skinny and I'm afraid he's going to make me develop an eating disorder. But I also still love my husband and it hurts me to be apart from him. I want to point out me and my brother have 2 different fathers. I lost my father last year to cancer. He left me 90% of his stuff, including his family home that was left to him by his dad. It's been in their family for over 100 years. My brother and my dad didn't have a relationship, but he did leave him $10,000. My mom was pissed at the will reading, but since she got $10,000 she couldn't do anything about it. For the past year me and her live okay, together. She went on acting like it was her house like before, which I had no problem with, till in May my brother and his girlfriend moved in. Without even asking me. They're messy, entitled, and rude. I told them in July I want them out by September because they don't pay for anything nor wash a dish. In August they announced they were pregnant and my sil smugly said, "Guess we won't be moving out now." It didn't go down well, but when I told them I wanted them out, my mom and brother basically laughed in my face. Well, the past few months have been hell. They become worse than before and my mom enables it, then demands me to treat my sil like a princess because she's pregnant. I once had to wait outside McDonald's till they opened to get her a McMuffin. Well, here where I may be the asshole. Because my sil is pregnant, she eats everything she sees, like the cupcakes my friend made me for my birthday. She ate all 6, didn't even get to try them. I can't even make my lunch the night before because when I go to get it, It will be gone. She'll have a smug look on her face while rubbing her belly, then laugh and say, I couldn't help myself, blame the baby. If I put stuff in my room, my mom will open the door with the spare key, still can go through my mini fridge. Well, a week ago I was running late to collage. I didn't have time for my breakfast or to make lunch, and I had to go to work straight after, so all I had that day was a bar of chocolate. When I got home I was starving. I made myself dinner. While it was cooling down I went to use the bathroom. I must have been in there 10 minutes at most. By the time I came out she had 70% of my dinner ate, and I literally lost my shit. Of course she started crying. My mom and brother started screaming at me for making her cry, making excuses, like how she couldn't help it and it was my fault for leaving food around her. Well, I had enough. I told them get out, just like before I got mocked. But here's the thing, back in October my uncle offered me a life-changing amount of money for the house. I called him up crying a few days ago explaining the situation. He said he'd buy the house, but he will evict my mom and brother. The OFC didn't take it too well and I have had to stay with a friend. I've been receiving texts and I'm being tagged in multiple posts on social media. I'm starting to think I'm the bad person now. So for making my mom and brother homeless? If I sell the house to my uncle I will lose 100K, but he's always been good to me. And it's one of those situations where I'd sleep better knowing it's gone to someone in my dad's family. My mom told me because of my age I wouldn't be taken seriously if I tried to evict them. If I evict them and continue to live in the house along with the high financial costs, I don't think they'd ever let me live in peace. My mom has health issues and my sil will have to move in with her parents. They won't allow my brother, so I'd be splitting up a young family. In my mom's words,